Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Swamini Vimalananda at IIT Kanpur on 28 September 2014. Who Am I? and Mind Management. So I've watched Who Am I with Swami Sarvapriyananda, and this is another lady that I watched a previous video on, which I agreed with a lot of her things. Some of them I would love to ask her to clarify. And let's go ahead and watch about Who Am I and her interpretation of this, I suppose. I don't know if it's going to be the same or what, so let's go ahead and get started. Lecture 2. Must have missed the first one.
Namaste and good evening to all of you present here.
No CC.
I'm Amita Agarwal and I'm happy to welcome you all on behalf of entire Vivekananda Samiti to the third day of the lecture series by Swamini Vimalananda ji. But before I take you down the lane, I want to tell you all a very special thing. This beautiful journey of learning of our mind and who am I began on 26th at 6:30 p.m. here only in this very lecture hall. And people, it won't end today. It would continue forever. Let me tell you something about Vivekananda Samiti, what exactly we are and what exactly we do. Being one of the oldest clubs under the Students' Gymkhana functioning for over 40 years, Vivekananda Samiti has been motivating the youth community towards the path of human excellence. It has been disseminating and trying to actualize the messages of Vedanta and Swami Vivekananda ji through different activities, which are weekly discourses on Vedanta, Sanskrit classes, invited lectures on Indian philosophy and its relevance, meditation sessions, distribution of Vivekananda literature among youth, community services like health camps, eye camps, clothes collections, etc. We yearn to inspire the students to imbibe and assert the human values in their lives. One of the greatest endeavors of Vivekananda Samiti here is to provide the entire IITK family a chance to interact with personalities who have deeper insight of life. And fulfilling that purpose, Vivekananda Samiti is privileged to inform you all that we are being hearing the beautiful lectures by Swamini Vimalananda ji. And I would like to shed some light on the ever spectacular personality, mind and heart both, of Swamini Vimalananda ji. She is a brilliant disciple of Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayanand ji. Completing her early education at Mumbai, she graduated with honours from the J.J. College of Architecture with a B.Arch degree. She has travelled widely and has conducted many Gyan Yagnas, that is spiritual discourses, in English, Hindi and Gujarati. Camps for children, youth and elders all over the world has been organised by her. Her simple style of talking has captivated the intellectual and faithful alike. She has authored many books, including the books like In India Culture, Why Do We? And yesterday I had a chance to read it, and it is a very beautiful book. And even Meditation Techniques, 15 Portals to the Supreme. She is the director of Chinmay Vision Program, which has a holistic approach to education. She was awarded by the Architects Association of India in the year 1999 as an architect for achieving success. The award was given to her for the contribution to the field of education. She is presently in charge of Chinmay Mission, Coimbatore, and is one of the directors of Chinmay International Residential School. Since a large percentage of us, including students, faculties, and every one of us, goes through stress and various emotional and mental problems each day, so it would be a better time to learn how to manage our mind. Having said so, I would like to cordially invite on the stage Swami Vimalananda ji for enlightening us with her beautiful words of wisdom.
Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। Hari Om and Namaskar to all of you. I find every day a new set of people whom I haven't seen the day before. So, how many of you were there for the first 2 days? Okay. I thought she was going to revise a little bit so I wouldn't have to do it. Yesterday she did. My topic yesterday was who am I and who is God. I will quickly go through that before I start on the topic today. On the first day, we started with talking on the mind and how our ideals are very high, but our behavior is not as great and as high as our ideals. And because of that, what happens?
Ego.
We tend to fall in life. You remember? We talked about the difference between the brain and the mind. And yesterday, we went through a journey of finding out who I am. And when I say who I am, it doesn't mean who I am, but who I am. The I in each one of us. The goal of human life is only one, universal. We think we have different goals, but we don't. All of us, no exception, have only one and one goal, and that is what?
Happiness.
Yesterday?
Bliss.
Eternal and infinite happiness. And who am I? Eternal and infinite happiness, and therefore I am what I search for. This is only a recapitulation of what I spoke, so those who haven't come, I can't explain it again. And then we further talked about this notion that we have of ourselves. We think we are the name or the form, the body or the mind. That is only our relative identity, not our absolute identity. So we started on questioning that relative identity. Am I the seer or the seen? The knower or the known? And through this inquiry, drashta, drishya, vivek, we came to the I, which is beyond the body and the mind, which has absolutely no conditioning of the body and the mind, and therefore is eternal and infinite. However, all of us, all the time, remain only in our relative identity of being the body and the mind. Is it true or not? So for us, even to think about that eternal and infinite self is just a dream, or as someone said, a concept. So most of the time we are at the level of our body and our mind. And therefore it becomes important to manage the mind. The mind becomes even more important because that is the only tool which will help us to transcend the mind. We'll talk of it a little later in case there is time. But right now we will only talk about the mind. So let's start again with the analysis of what is the mind. Can I have everyone coming a little closer to me? I somehow feel more connected with everyone. If I don't feel scared or shy or whatever. I'm a strict vegetarian. So
I will say I would be sitting in the very back of the room. That's just me.
what is the mind? Someone said, never mind, don't talk about all these things, not important. The mind is a flow of thoughts. One thought is not the mind. What is the mind? It's a flow of thoughts. Continuous flow of thoughts. How many thoughts? Oh my God, how many thoughts? There's no question of counting them. Innumerable. What is the speed of the mind? My God. I believe it takes 8 minutes for, the speed of light is the fastest thing that we know of right now, which is 3 into 10 raised to 5. 5 kilometers, I was going to say, per second. It takes about 8 minutes for the light from the sun to come over here, right? How much time does it take your mind to go and come back? There are so many stars and which are light years away. That light years means nothing to the mind. Is it true or not? In the second the mind is gone, you come back. So tremendous is the speed of the mind. Tremendous. The energy of the mind. Oh ho 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 ho. The capacity of the mind, oh my God, it is unthinkable. They did a brain mapping of Stephen Hawking, and they found that he uses only 3% of his total brain power. How much do you think you and I must be using? If he uses 3%.
I don't know where she's getting the calculations. Now, mind you, I've heard of things like we use only 7% or 13%, something like that. We do use 100% of our brain, but to the capacity of what we can use it for, perhaps that's what she's saying, like memory and our ability to control certain aspects of our mind or brain, should I say, to control our bodies. Maybe that, then perhaps that, yes. I don't know about that one. Like, obviously we when we go to sleep, our brain takes over the breathing. A lot of our functions are automatic. We don't have to think about digesting food or processing water or waste. And I do wonder if the brain controls some aspects. I'm sure it does. Or is it just, or does your body just send a signal like, hey, I'm full, it needs to come out now? Either number 1 or number 2. Huh. I do wonder how much of the brain controls our body, or in how much of the body's automated and it just sends a signal to say, hey, it's good to go,
The absolute phenomenal abilities of the mind, like creativity and observations and innumerable abilities. we, through our education, almost throughout our lives, have tapped but a wee bit of the total abilities of the mind. The so-called intelligent person also uses and the so-called intelligent person also is talking about his intelligence only with comparison to most of us who are not that greatly intelligent. But if you hear some of the absolute phenomenal things that can be done with the mind, we find the intelligent people also quite dull in their minds. And because our capacity at this point of time is so less, anything which is a little extraordinary we think is wow, or we say it's impossible, or we say it cannot be done. Presently, our memory power has become so less.
Sorry, she ain't wrong about that one, especially since the invention of the smartphone. I said this before, but you know, back in the day, before smartphones, you had to remember, well, before even cell phones, you had to remember people's phone numbers. Your phone number, your aunt's phone number, your uncle's phone number, your friend's phone number, your school's phone number. You remember all of that stuff. Now, no reason to. I'll quote what my coworker said: "Our smartphone is making us dumb." Because we're not having to remember anything anymore.
So very less. That if someone says that I know the whole of the Encyclopedia Britannica by heart, you'll say, what?
Very good
Isn't
memory.
it true? Have you heard of Ashtavadhana? Any? Those who have heard, just put up your hands. Ashtavadhana, Shatavadhana. Oh, just 2-3 of you. Ashtavadhana is the capacity of a person to do 8 things at a time, and completely diverse things. I have seen this person at this. He actually doing it. He's not just an Ashtavadhani, now he's slowly developing himself, and he's now proceeding to become a Shatavadhani. Ashta is 8, Shata is 100. You give him any date of birth, and in a few seconds he tells you which year you were born in. You tell him the date of birth, and he'll tell you which day you were born on. He plays chess. So anyone, he calls anyone from the audience and he says, okay, play chess. So that person is like all brains and all thinking and how to do it. He just puts the thing and then he does the next thing. 8-figure numbers multiplied by 8-figure numbers. He just does it on his head and says the numbers backward, sometimes forward, sometimes upward, all sorts of things, unbelievable things. And he's doing it all together, okay? And he does this show for about an hour and a half of all sorts of phenomenal things happening. And at the end of it, from the first to the last, everything that he has done, he tells you back again. With the numbers, that this was your date of birth, this is your name, this is your date of birth, this was the day you were born, this is the figure multiplied by this was this, and he's composing poetry at the same time. The poetry, you have to give him a topic, you have to tell him the first word of the sentence, you have to tell him the last word of the poem, and he makes a poem in a language that you would tell him to. Right there, at the end of it, he gives you the whole poem also. So many things. You put all those restrictions and he's doing it all in his brain at a time.
I've heard what she's talking about. I think of multiple people. I know there's a chess genius who would play professional chess against think 12 different people all at the same time. Like he goes to one table, it makes some moves, taps, goes to the next table, taps, goes to the next table, and he's able to keep track with all of his moves and what his process is. But whenever she continues to explain it a bit more, I've heard of people that have photographic memory. They can literally tell you anything that they've experienced in their life. Like if you tell them your date of birth or whatever, if they were alive during that time of your birth, they can tell you what was going on, what was on TV, what was being said on TV, who was on TV. They can tell you what's coming out in the theaters if they happen to look at like what's being released that day. Extraordinary memory. It's I don't know if I believe that, but it's quite extraordinary to believe. It is super extraordinary, and I think people have fact checked this people's. So again, it's I don't know how common that is. I doubt it. I just don't know how. Let me say how rare it is. How many people have that? I don't know what it is that allows them to do that.
He's only Ashtavadhani, means 8 things at a time. There are what is called Shatavadhanis who do 100 things at a time. This was the capacity of an Indian typical brain. From there we have gone to what we are, and we think we are really, really intelligent. I hope you're understanding what I'm speaking. And these are people who are alive still, okay? I'm not talking about some in the past. In the past, their capacity was much more. I remember my own 2 generations back, 3 generations back, I believe, I personally feel their brain capacity was much, much, much more than what ours is. I see my own grandfather, and he used to say at the age of 85, exactly which poem he learnt when he was in the 5th grade, and he would say, "Panchvi mein humne ye kaha," and this is the poem, and he would say the poem by heart. Then in the 6th standard we had to study this, and till he had done BA, in those good old days he had done. Every year what he had done, he could tell us what he's learnt. Can you imagine that? And mathematical, they had this multiplication of 2 point, that Utha it was called. I don't know what anyone heard of that? None of you even heard of it? It's 2 point something, fraction. It's a multiplication of that, and that is what, now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was not, it was fraction multiplications. All of this they used to do, and he would make us, he was a businessman, so he would make us, at the end of the day, calculate, the profit loss or whatever is there, this big huge sheet of paper. And we do normally one digit at a time, right? He wouldn't do a digit. He'll calculate 5,225 plus 200 and this plus 7,000, like that. He used to count in thousands, not in digits, the way we do. And at the end of it, he would say, "I think your figure," and we would do it on the calculator, and he would say at the end of it, "I think something is missing, 2 is missing somewhere, just go check it up again."
Yeah, I've seen also people like for some odd reason, whenever I'm scrolling through YouTube, I do see people like, oh, how to multiply large numbers really easily, and they have this cross section and then this and that. I'm like, and I wouldn't doubt that this is very possible. Again, just thinking back just before cell phones, you remember people's numbers, you remember equations, you remember math, especially if you use them on an everyday basis. You will remember these things. It's just a matter of constantly practicing it. But then there are people out there who are capable of remembering without practice. It's something about them. Autistic people tend to be very good at something, like very ridiculously good at something, but I think they're kind of like a social outcast to a degree. And this is something I've wondered, because I've met someone who was like really good at modeling, I guess, where you get plastic and just glue it together, then they carve it out and it looks like really nice, whatever he was carving out. But he seemed a bit odd, because I remember taking him, we were in a shop playing some games, and then we decided to go out and eat. I'll drive. When he gets in the car, he just buckles up and then just sits there tapping his feet. I'm like, that's really weird. Drove him out, came back. It's like he just in and out really quick. It was weird. He's a little weird, but he's really cool guy. But he's so artistically good. It's crazy. I don't know.
I'm talking about an ordinary man. He was not some extraordinary genius. What I'm trying to tell you is
He ain't no ordinary man if he's doing all that stuff. That is not ordinary. Maybe back in the day, perhaps, but today, no.
brain capacity, the capacity of our mind is phenomenal, is unbelievable. It's the most beautiful instrument that God has given you. All your experiences, with absolutely zero exception, are all in the brain, in this mind of yours. The whole world that you are experiencing is experienced in your mind. Your mind.
I will say that is a very interesting concept or idea at the time when I first heard it. I'm like, why did I not think of that? Everything that we're experiencing, like whenever feeling touch, oh, I'm feeling the touch right here. It's like, no, there's a touch going on here, but it's being sent up to your brain saying, hey, something's going on over here, but you're experiencing it in your mind. I'm like, how come I've never thought of that? Never thought of that. I get it. It's so simple. It's so common sense, but yet somehow it's never connected until I started watching this video. It's really weird.
What is this? I don't have the capacity to produce something else, so don't worry. I have no. This is a watch. Where are you seeing it? On my hand. In my hand. Where am I? Sitting on the stage. And where is the stage? It is in the
school
hall in IIT Kanpur. And where's IIT Kanpur? In Kanpur. And where's Kanpur? In India. UP. And where's UP? In India. And where's India? In
continent of Asia.
Asia, and on this earth, and where is this earth?
The solar system, Milky Way.
Space, and where is space?
Milky Way, then space. No galaxy, then universe.
If you say in the universe, then is there space different from the universe, or something is a part of universe? Okay, even for the sake of saying, just argument that it is the universe. Okay, then where is the universe?
And supercluster. I've heard of that.
When you are in your deep sleep state, do you experience the world, the universe? You don't. It's only when you wake up that you experience the world. Is it true or not? Only and only in your waking state do you experience this world. So,
I wonder what you would say to awareness, though. While you do not experience the world, your body is still aware, in a sense. Your body, maybe not yourself, but your body. The reason why I say this is because maybe in a deep sleep, maybe that might be the exception. I'm not sure. But there are people out there who are light sleepers. And what happens is even though they're sleeping, if you hear taps of foot or something going on, they wake up. So how do they know that there's noise going on while they're sleeping? That's the interesting question for me right now. Is the fact that what is this? You are not aware of the world, but yet your body is aware. So how can you say we're not aware of the world when there are, not everyone, but there are some people out there who are light sleepers. I've personally woken up a few times because of noise going on, and I was asleep. I woken up by it. Now you could argue that it was in a deep sleep, and that's very much sure, but you're asleep nonetheless. Unless there's different states of awareness. Now, there are people out there who will sleep through, you slapping them in the face and they still won't wake up. That's a little worse, so they might be dead, I don't know. Might want to punch them or something just to make sure they're alive. But just the people who are light sleepers, or even if you hear like a really loud bang, so the argument I would hear is the fact that your body, your gross body is still awake, but that means you're still aware of the world, is it not? That's a question, if you could answer that. I'm sure I can formulate it a little bit better. Now, I've asked this before, I think, but just for saying it right now, let me know what you think. Like, how does that work if you're not, when you're asleep, you are not aware of the world, but you have to be aware if you wake up because of something going on in the world? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's continue.
Space is a concept of your mind. There is no space for you. No. It may not be there for me, but there is space even if I... When do you know that?
Oh, when you're awake.
That there is a universe, that there is a world, even when you go to sleep or when you die. When do you know that?
In the waker world and the dreamer world, but not in the deep sleep world. Why in the dreamer world? Because in the dreamer world you are aware of space between you and objects even within your dream, even though everything in the dream is you, but you're still aware of space between you and yourself. Weird way to say that one.
When you're awake and when your mind is functioning. Is it true or not? Tell me. Prove
I guess technically speaking your mind is kind of functioning when you're dreaming a bit.
the existence of anything in this world except as a thought in your mind.
I'm sorry, I'm going to rewind that part.
Prove the existence of anything in this world except as a thought in your mind. When you're awake and when your mind is functioning. Is it true or not? Tell me. Prove the existence of anything in this world except as a thought in your mind.
Prove the existence.
Prove the existence of anything in this world
Except
as a thought in your mind.
I'm not trying to sound like a smart A or anything, but these are my genuine answers. And hey, look, please debate me down below if you want. Well, not debate, just argue my point or whatever. Interesting though. But I wonder, again, this is how I would present it to her. So here, let me bring out the infamous, so this pen again. So right now, while I am seeing this, I am touching this, I am aware of this, it is all being presented in my mind. So if I was the only person alive, then it would be very difficult to prove. However, if I were to hand this to you and you grab it and you perceive it, then it's also now not only a thought in my mind, but in your mind as well. Your mind. And even then, at the very least, even if I were to just leave it on the ground and then say, hey, do you see that pen right there? So I perceive it in my thoughts, but you perceive it in your thoughts. So there's not, it's being perceived in two different minds at the moment. And anyone else that we can include, I do wonder what you would say. Now, if you go with the Turiya explanation, where we're all the Turiya, the Atman, the Brahman, then we are all experiencing this one thing. Well, then again, it is also Brahman as well too. So, I don't know how to explain that part, but anyways, we are all experiencing it in our own individual minds. However, if you believe in Brahman, then we are all experiencing Brahman as well. I was trying to make a logical explanation with the Brahman everything being Brahman itself, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this does exist. It is what it is, and we all experience this in our own individual minds. That this is a pen, and it's not only being experienced in my mind. I wonder if she would make that argument, and I'm curious as to what her answer would be on that one. I hope people contest that to her, because I'm curious, really want to know. I wonder how she would. I wonder if her
Proof.
I wonder if her explanation would be the fact that it is, even though there is this pen there, it's only ever, now if she says it's only ever experienced in our own individual minds, then I can't argue that. It's absolutely true. But to say that only in my mind, no, it's not only in my mind, but it's also in your mind as well. That's the nitpick part, because that's what she said. Let's rewind it. Sorry.
When you're awake and when your mind is functioning. Is it true or not? Tell me. Prove the existence of anything in this world except as a thought in your mind.
Your mind. That's the key phrase there. Your mind. Now, I assume I heard her correctly. So, while whenever there's multiple people experience, well, if it's by myself, then I cannot. She's absolutely right. This is only ever an experience in my mind. But if there's multiple people, then it no longer becomes that valid argument where it is only in my mind because other people can see this unless they're blind, without that exception. But we all experience this in our mind. Like right now, I'm assuming if you're watching YouTube, you can see. Unless you're listening, then there's a pencil in my hand. But yes, that's the point there.
Proof
Why doesn't
the
people
existence
contest
of anything in the world. So where is this watch? You say it's in my mind, it's in my hand, but you're experiencing it where?
in your
Whose mind?
individually we are experiencing it in our own minds, absolutely agree, but we all experiencing it in our own mind. Now if you again, like I said, it's just being nitpicky here, sorry to be that way, but phrasing matters a little bit to me, maybe too much for me. But if it says we only ever experience things in our mind, whole different story, completely agree. There's no way to argue that point in my opinion. I'd like someone to challenge that because I don't think anyone could.
Come on. You cannot prove the existence of this watch except as a thought in your mind. Is it true or not? If you don't have a thought in your mind, it cannot exist for you.
Okay, that one though, that one. If you cannot have a thought in your mind, it doesn't exist. Now that one, that might be a good one. I don't think I can. I mean, you may. I'm guessing she's including like your senses in the thought. So anytime you feel something, anytime you interact, it's all thoughts. At that point, I'm not disagreeing with her. Yes, that is absolutely true. If you cannot think or have thoughts, then nothing exists. Assuming again that obviously whenever you feel a touch, it is a signal being sent to your brain saying, hey, something's touching me, thoughts, you know. Absolutely agree. Give it up to her for that one. Yes, absolutely.
What does that mean? All your joys, all your sorrows, all your experience, all your relationships, all your aspirations, your successes, your failures, your achievements, everything is where?
In your mind.
Voila. This most amazingly important, beautiful instrument, God-given, we haven't purchased it. And what do we do with it?
Squander it, I guess.
Batao. And we haven't learned. Again and again I keep emphasizing this from the first day. I have been saying, unfortunately we've not learned how to use this instrument.
I'm sorry, I want to go back a little bit on what she was saying, but that is amazing the way she put that. I loved it. The only nitpick I have again was the only in your mind. I think that's my argument. Some people will make that argument. Now if you say the world can only be ever experienced in our mind, then I don't think anyone can make an argument, and it would link what she said further, in my opinion, much better. But it's absolutely wonderful. When she makes that distinction, when she makes that argument, and then presented that the fact that your successes, your feelings, your everything happens in your mind, that's gonna. Again, a lot of people don't think about this stuff. I don't think. I didn't. Most of it, honestly, except for my emotions. I did find a way to kind of separate myself from emotions because of my world religion class, where the world is suffering, and I've learned to separate myself a little bit from my emotions. But everything else, didn't know about until I watched all these videos, and then all of a sudden, everything is in your mind. But yes, the way she said that, I hope a lot of people's mind were blown during that moment. I don't know, the crowd doesn't seem excited, but And maybe their brain kind of froze up there, realizing that everything's in their mind.
Every other instrument, you take a PC, you have a mobile, you have. I'm struggling with this iPhone, which I've just got recently. You know, and when I do something, something else happens. I was used to this BlackBerry, where you go tuck, 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 and now all of a sudden everything goes, you know, this. So a small little instrument also, you need to what? Practice. First understand, know, practice, and then you can use it. Is it true or not? And here, this most sophisticated, this most wonderful, this unbelievable instrument, and what do? We have never learned how to use it.
No, we just learn how to use TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube's. That's what the brain is for. What are you talking about? Oh my God, she's so right though. We have such an amazing mind, and we're learning TikToks and YouTubes, and hey, YouTube's actually a really good place for information. That's where I learn a lot of my stuff. Some of my stuff. A little bit of my stuff. Most of it's like other stuff, but I learn a little bit on YouTube. I actually do a lot of my research on YouTube. I watch reviews and stuff because whenever I buy stuff, I watch the heck out of reviews, and I make sure it's what I want, and I make sure I go crazy.
Is it true or not? No one has ever taught us how to use it, and therefore how do we use it? मेरे को याद आता है हमेशा वो good old days we had these public telephone booths. It's only those who are above 40 years or 50 years who would know about this.
What? I know
and
about them.
Dial. याद है आप लोग को? ये लोग को तो पता भी नहीं है, वो ऐसे देखा ही नहीं होगा शायद. आजकल होते हैं वो पब्लिक फोन. I don't think कैंपस में एक भी होगा. है? And it used to be, the dial used to be so hard. You remember? You have to. You can't even do it just like that. You had to hold the other hand just so you could. And then after you dial the number and then you put your coin, then if you know karate, it helps. Because you have to kick that phone. Then the coin would go in. Otherwise the coin also wouldn't go in. याद है आप लोग को जो भी बड़े हैं उनको पता है.
I remember those things, phone points.
Then the coin goes in and it would make all sorts of funny, weird sounds. And someone picks up the phone and says, wrong number. Oh my God. Then you have to start the whole thing again. But one day I was really lucky. You know, I had my destiny, fate, whatever you call it, was really good. I did all of that, and I kicked the phone and everything, and I hit the jackpot. 25 coins came out. Has it ever happened to you? Yes? Oh, one person here has been lucky like that. Then I said, I don't care whether I talked or not. Wow, 25 rupees. At that time it was really important, 25 rupees. So, those instruments were like that. You kick them, and now what type of phones are there?
Flip phones. No.
And supposing it doesn't work and you say,
No.
that's the end of the phone. Is it
yes.
true?
No, you
You
don't
don't
do
do it like that. You don't get angry with the phone and you do that, that's it.
Yeah, $800, $1,500 down the drain. I'm sorry, I said $800. Thinking back in the day, get time, I guess. Now phones are over $1,000. Ugh, so expensive.
It's more advanced. It has to be handled with
Care.
You have to know. If you don't handle it with care, it's gone forever.
Wow, good. Wow, okay.
The most sophisticated
I see what you were going there. I
and the
didn't realize
most
it.
advanced instrument in the whole wide world is what? The human mind. Is it true or not? That's the one that made all your phones. That's the one that made all the other things that are there in existence. Don't you think that is the most sophisticated and the most advanced? Yes? And what do we do with it?
TikTok.
Abuse.
Oh, sorry.
Is it true or not?
I don't know if that's popular now or not.
What do we do with it? Make it dull, useless. Is it true or not? That's what we're doing. Drug it till it can't function at all. Systematically, and most of the people, either we are oppressed or suppressed or depressed and is it true or not? What have we done to this instrument? This great thing that we've got, which can give us the greatest of joy or can make us what? Absolutely unhappy. And what do? We've given this capacity to become so happy. And what do we do with it? Every second person you hear, I am depressed, I am getting out. I think it's a fashion, especially in IIT.
What? Are you serious? That's what's happening in the United States. It's again so weird. 2014. I think this is true. I've not looked it up. I think America is the most drugged nation in the world. I wouldn't doubt it to be true. I wouldn't doubt it at all, and that's kind of depressing to hear. I need antidepressant for my depressing statistics that I just gave. Jeez. Oh my gosh. I can't believe she said. I mean, again, I think this is more for developed nations, not developed nations, sorry, developed areas. Because even in the United States, while it probably is the most drugged country in the world, there are probably like far off people that are not quite living in big populations, like metropolitan areas, that are not quite drugged. I have a feeling most of the drugged people are in metropolitan areas because they're so stressed out. There's so many people, it's so clumped up. Even though, and the reason why it's developed is because there's a lot of people there, and it's a lot easier to release technology when there's so many people in one area. It's not spread out. Much easier to sell a lot of products in big areas, whereas country areas or areas that are not very densely populated, it's more difficult because people are spread out. So that's how you get like 5Gs in like metropolitan areas. I'm sure it happens everywhere in the world, but yes, anyways, that's the whole point. Metropolitan areas, I have a feeling these areas are the ones that has the most problems, more so than say sparsely populated areas. And America loves their drugs.
Really? And then everyone discusses, how's your depression getting better? How's yours?
Wow. Just so similar, so strange.
What are we doing? This instrument that can give us so much of joy, can give us so much of fulfillment and the highest things in the world, and what do we do with it? Systematically destroy it. Systematically, not even randomly. Happily. Daily, on a daily basis. How dare you become better? Tapak every day.
What? How dare you become better? Is that what you said?
Is it true or not? We never learned how to use it. Unfortunately, when we talk of this also, everyone thinks, no, with every product in the whole wide world, you always have a manual that goes with it, which tells you how to use the product. Isn't it true?
No one reads it.
Anything you buy, anything. I remember someone gave me a present of a box of chocolates.
No.
It looked so big. I was so happy. When I opened it, I found 10 small chocolates put far away from each other. Have you ever had this sort of an experience?
I get it.
The box only was big and the packing was big, but the chocolates were just 10 of them in such a big box. And then next to it, of each of the chocolate was written what was in the chocolate and how to eat the chocolate. I am not joking. It was written over there, open the wrapper, put in the mouth and enjoy. So you don't know how to eat
Okay. I'm going to pause right here for the video. That's the end of the video. I'm going to show another clip from my favorite comedian based on exactly what she said. It's so freaking hilarious. I'll be right back. Okay, so just to continue where she left off, love this guy. He's one of my favorite comedians, about the directions for eating.
I eat poorly, man. I like Pop-Tarts. But I'm going to lay off because they're insulting. They have directions on the box of Pop-Tarts. Can there be a simpler food item? Directions on Pop-Tarts. Like if they weren't there, would somebody like put the box down? What? How do I get that goodness in me? But you don't got to worry. They got the directions all laid out nice and clear. 2 sets of directions. You got your toaster directions for Pop-Tarts, which, believe it or not, is more than 1 step. I don't know how toaster directions could possibly be more than 1 step. You'd think it'd be step 1, toast the Pop-Tarts. Put the Pop-Tarts in the toaster, push the lever. Hey, are you still reading this? But they've managed to break it up into smaller increments. I want to be in the room watching somebody who actually has to consult the toaster directions. You know, these are the actual steps. Number 1, remove pastry from pouch. Okay. All righty. Yeah, so far so good. Number 2, put Pop-Tarts in toaster. Okay. Oh, I gotta get me a toaster. That's your toaster directions. They also have microwave directions for Pop-Tarts. You can microwave a Pop-Tart. How long does it take to toast?
So this, sorry, I'll pause right here. Now this is the part where it becomes a little, where I start talking about how Americans want things quick and easy, quick fixes.
Toast a Pop-Tart, 1.5 minutes on the long side?
Well, let's rewind a little.
Microwave. I also have microwave directions for Pop-Tarts. You can microwave a Pop-Tart. How long does it take to toast a Pop-Tart? 1.5 minutes on the long side? There are people who don't have this kind of time? Listen, if you need to zap fry your Pop-Tarts before you head out the door, you might want to loosen up your schedule. And I swear it says microwave on high for 3 seconds. I can't do anything in 3 seconds. You know, wake up, ding, ding, it's hot.
That's hot.
I don't think I want to wake up, eat, and haul in 3 seconds. The alarm goes, ding, 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 I gotta go. I think it's time for a lifestyle change.
So yes, so what he's explaining about the instructions is it's really strange. Whenever she talked about that, it just reminds me of him whenever he made the comedic scene about the Pop-Tarts. Trust me, instructions are really needed for some of the foods. You don't even have to toast your Pop-Tarts. You can just eat it straight from the package too. I think. I don't know if you're supposed to zap fry or toast your Pop-Tarts. I've eaten straight from the bag before. You know, no instructions needed. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was really funny whenever she brought that up, and it reminded me of him. So anyways, that's part 1 of this video. Sorry, I can't remember the title of the video. It was Who Am I? Mind Management. Part 2 will come out pretty soon after this, I'm sure. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.